Japan Airlines, you're going to redeem for travel on Emirates, which has a really nice business class, and it's just 85,000 miles for up to 14,000 miles of actual travel. Just as luck would have it, New York to Dubai is 13,750, so you can't really cut it much closer than that. Hey everybody, welcome to the Abroaders Travel Podcast, your weekly meetup with thousands of entrepreneurs, hustlers, creators, nomads, ninjas, wanderers, and world changers, all seeking to build the skills and connections to live a life without borders. If you want to learn more about what we do or download our entire podcast archive, check out the website, abroaders.com.
Happy Wednesday morning, and welcome to another episode of the Abroaders Travel Podcast. I'm AJ here with Erik, and today we're going to talk about some of the best business class redemptions available today. Show notes can be found at abroaders.com/business awards. So, Italy, man, how is Italy going?
Buongiorno, man. It's going great. I had a really interesting and fun trip so far. Just left Rome this morning, so did a couple of days in the Italian capital and also checked out Vatican, and then hopped the high-speed train today. So I've just arrived in Florence. Going to be spending a couple of days here.
Cool, man. What's the scene like, man? How are the people? Neither of us have been to Italy before. What's up?
Yeah, it's been cool, man. I mean, the people are really friendly. It's kind of interesting. I mean, it's definitely a much warmer culture than, like Czech Republic and Germany. I think you can definitely feel the kind of the Latino way here in Italy, but they're a little bit more stern. A lot of the interactions I've had buying stuff, I think people get a little bit frustrated with tourists. So it's been kind of an interesting thing. It's also been, Rome was completely overrun. We tried to see like the biggest attractions on a Saturday, Sunday combo. So, we were just like elbow to elbow with hundreds of people, especially at the Vatican. Definitely, if you have any chance to avoid trying to see the biggest, most popular attractions on the weekend, I think that's a wise bet.
Good tip.
Yeah. Overall, though, the people have been great. We had one little screw up with Hostel World. Didn't seem to forward our reservation. First time that's ever happened to me with Hostel World. The people at the place had no idea we were coming, but they were extremely helpful. Like, they just rung up like a couple of their friends and found us another place that actually turned out to be quite a bit nicer. So worked out just fine. So
good stuff, man. What's the transportation situation? Rail, buses, Uber, cabs? How you been getting around?
I did get a chance to try out Uber in Rome, although I don't know if this is new, but they started validating the text message. You have to be able to receive a text message before you can use it. I was hoping to hook my mom up with like a free $30 credit from referring her, but it didn't work out because her phone's not working here. So I thought we could just sign into her account on my phone and get that extra credit, and it definitely didn't work out that way. But on the other hand, we took an Uber on a couple of occasions, and really efficient, really fast, and not too expensive. So that was a pretty good bet here in Rome. They don't have it in Florence. The other one that was interesting was taking the high-speed train here. I clocked us at up to 150 miles an hour today. So if you're in a hurry, you really can't beat the high-speed rail system here in Italy. Actually, it was kind of too fast. I was like just getting into the groove of getting some work done. So I couldn't believe how fast we got to Florence.
Oh, nice, man. What's the travel hacking scene? Any wins, any opportunities for our listeners?
So one of the good ones is Club Carlson. We checked out a room pretty much in the middle of Rome, pretty close to the terminal. Club Carlson's Visa card gives you your last night of any award reservation for free. So the ideal setup is to book just a 2-night stay on points. So you're basically buy one, get one free. That worked out really well. The Club Carlson hotel itself, it was a Radisson Blu, and it wasn't awesome. It was a pretty nice place, but there's some like really weird stuff. They had like a treadmill in the middle of our room. It had like just like a complete makeshift shower. It's just like a curtain that the water was like splattering on the floor. But on the other hand, it was like this really nice, like, had a balcony, and it was huge. So it was definitely a mixed bag with the room, but we ended up getting upgraded to a suite. One thing I guess I want to share with everybody is you can often leverage the fact that the hotels don't always communicate very well with the loyalty program folks. Club Carlson Visa comes with gold status just for applying and starting to use the card. And we called Club Carlson and asked them to put an extra bed in the room so that there were 3 beds. The hotel didn't get the memo, and I ended up being able to kind of leverage that for the upgrade to the suite. So if you ever get in a situation where things aren't exactly what you expect when you get there, you can try and leverage your status if you have it. Or also, if the hotel's not willing to help, you can always call the loyalty program and see if those folks will be able to do anything for you.
Oh man, it's a really good hack and something to take note of. Let's get into a little bit of news. So we've got a little bit of credit card news here. There has been a change in the minimum spend for the Starwood Preferred Guest cards from Amex. It's the same offer. You get 25,000 points for the business and personal card. But now the minimum spend has changed to $3,000 in 3 months instead of the normal $5,000 in 6 months.
Yeah, really nice. It's probably the first time that we've seen that happen with Starwood, at least in quite a while. So nice to be able to knock out that spend quickly and see the points post faster. Starwood is one of the most valuable currencies we have right now. So definitely, if you don't have the card, either the business or the personal already, you should sign up and take advantage of the lower minimum spend. The next thing I want to mention is that we had a pretty nasty devaluation surface over the weekend from Spanish carrier Iberia. And what happened is they made a big change to their award chart for One World partners. So we're going to link to the new award chart. So this is just Iberia. They are an Amex transfer partner, but nothing's changed with British Airways so far. But the concern is because they've got the same parent company, British Airways might just be a few steps behind.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, we shared a pretty nice hack to avoid fuel surcharges with British Airways by moving those points to Iberia, but that tactic is looking a lot less useful with a devalued chart like that.
Yeah, British Airways is definitely one of my favorites, so I'm really hoping that I'm wrong about this other shoe about to drop with British Airways, but they've got great deals with TAM in Brazil and American Airlines and US Airways in the United States. If you're thinking about a British Airways redemption, you should lock that in now, just in case it goes bad and they end up changing their chart as well.
Good advice there. We've got a little bit more credit card news. So Citi Thank You Rewards, they added Air France Flying Blue as a partner. So this is great for competition with Chase, Amex, and Starwood Preferred Guests because Thank You Rewards was previously a cash equivalent currency. Now, Flying Blue, this is a great program for a couple of reasons. One of the main reasons is the half price of one-way awards of a round trip. Not everybody allows you to do the one-way flights at half of a round trip, and they do, so that's a huge win. And there's also more space for its own members than partners. So this is similar to what Singapore does. Singapore has certain availability that is only available for people within their program, not their partners, so that's good for availability. And then there's also some promo awards they do. These are seasonal sales at a 25 to 50% discount. You mentioned something in just our conversation before we started recording that the big one there is with the business class stuff, but that's not as available right now, you're saying?
Yeah, so most of the promo awards, back in the good old days a couple of years ago, Flying Blue was offering a ton of business class awards at 50% with the promos. And now most of the promo awards are either at 25% or they're just economy. So that is a little bit of a value being eroded, but it's still a really good deal if they happen to be. They're basically set up for specific city pairs or regions in some cases. So it could be like from New York to Europe or New York to some airport in France. It really depends. But you can check them all out on the website. We'll link over to that. Overall, definitely a really good value. And, you know, like AJ mentioned, the Singapore Chris Flyer method of offering that extra space to their own members rather than their partners. The most common way to get award tickets on Air France has been with Delta. And so having these guys as a partner of Citi Thank You Rewards definitely opens up some great opportunities to get good tickets, especially for travel to Europe. A couple of downsides to cover, though, with the Flying Blue program. They do levy fuel surcharges on their own flights and some of their partners. And they also are currently advertising a 14-day transfer time from Thank You Rewards. I don't think that's going to be the case. This is obviously just developed, so we don't really know what the real transfer times are going to be yet. But clearly it's not going to be instant. And remember that Flying Blue is a partner of Amex membership rewards. So if you are in a hurry and you really got to get this award booked, you can use your Amex points instead of your Thank You Rewards points. Last but not least, it also means that you can use Citi and Amex points together on a couple of different airlines. So right now the overlap is on Singapore and Cathay Pacific, and now also with Air France. So if you've got kind of like an orphaned balance in one of those accounts, a few thousand miles, you can move them to one of those partners that overlaps and kind of combine your Citi and Amex points towards a redemption.
Good stuff, man. So last bit of news, there's still tons of award availability on Turkish Airways in business class from San Francisco to Istanbul. So this is running 5 days a week. Like I said, a bunch of availability. You can book with United or Aeroplan, so move those Chase or Amex points to get that done. And another thing that, like I said, is really good is because there's availability, this is a nice opportunity to get a large group of people from the West Coast to Europe in business class sitting together on the same plane. So it's reports of as many as 9 business class seats available at a time. So that's pretty unique in being able to get a big group in business class on an award flight to Europe.
Cool, man. All right, so we're going to jump into the core content in just a second. I did want to share one interesting tactic that came across my plate this week. Gary from View from the Wing points out that it's now possible to change your frequent flyer number on a One World reservation using the Royal Jordanian website. AJ, let's imagine that you have executive platinum status, which is the top tier status with American Airlines, and you want to fly from Detroit to New York. If you want to make that flight, the best value, at least until they change their chart, is going to be with British Airways. It's 4,500 miles each way. So you can get a really good deal on your flight from Detroit to New York because it's under that 650. But the problem is that by booking with BA, you're going to have to use your British Airways Executive Club number. And that means that the airline, when you fly on American, is going to recognize your British Airways frequent flyer number instead of American, where you have status. A lot of airlines in One World won't change your number, your frequent flyer that's attached to the reservation, after you've made the booking. And so Royal Jordanian's website lets you do that on your own. So you basically just log in there, you click on Manage Your Award, and you can swap out the number after your booking. So you just erase your British Airways number, drop your American Airlines number, and your status is going to get recognized. You're going to get first class boarding, free drinks, yada, yada, yada. So it's a really nice thing. If you have elite status with any One World carrier, you should take note of this, and we'll link over to a set of specific instructions on how you make that switch.
Great find, amigo. Get us into that core content.
All right, so for this week, we're going to be borrowing from a really good article posted by Ben over at 1 Mile at a Time on some of the best values out there for business class awards today. We're going to go through 9 award tickets that you can book right now that are great values. The first one, number 1, is 60,000 American Advantage miles, and that's for round-trip travel between North America and either Central America or South America Zone 1. And that is the northern part of South America, so that's going to include places like Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, and Venezuela. For the most part, getting to South America in business class is going to cost you 50,000 miles each way, or 100,000 round trip. And so if you can get away with utilizing that north part of South America, the American Airlines program is definitely ideal. So you can do that for, again, 60,000 round trip in business class. And don't forget, even if you're not planning to travel to Peru, Lima is one of the hubs for LAN Airlines. And so if you fly, say, New York to Lima, you can save a bunch on that business class and then take a small other flight, either an economy. You can either redeem points or buy the ticket outright and get to your final destination if it's a little bit further south. So that's a really good hack to kind of maximize the value you're getting for your American Airlines points.
Good stuff. All right, number 2 on the list, 90,000 Air Canada Aeroplan miles. This is a round trip between North America and most Europe. So why this is a big win is anytime you can get to Europe in business class for less than 50,000 miles each way, that's a pretty big bargain. So Air Canada is a member of the Star Alliance. That means they've got over 100 flights per day between North America and Europe. So availability shouldn't be too big of an issue as long as you're willing to be creative. Another bonus is Aeroplan allows 2 stopovers or 1 stopover and 1 open jaw. And so that's a really nice way to see some additional cities while you're in Europe and on your trip. And another good thing to look out for is Aeroplan does not impose fuel surcharges for travel on the following airlines: Brussels, Scandinavian, Singapore, Swiss, Turkish, or United. And LOT happens to have low fuel surcharges, so if you're going to take advantage of this, make sure you book with one of those airlines.
Cool, man. Number 3 is 85,000 Japan Airlines mileage bank miles, round trip between New York and Dubai. The only way that you can get a hold of Japan Airlines miles easily, besides with flying, is by transferring your Starwood Preferred Guest points. And the best part about this is every time you move 20,000 Starwood points, you get 25,000 of their one-to-one transfer partners. So that means that it's actually only going to cost you 70,000 SPG points to get this award. It's a really good option. The partner is Emirates, and so those Japan Airlines you're going to redeem for travel on Emirates, which has a really nice business class, and it's just 85,000 miles for up to 14,000 miles of actual travel. Just as luck would have it, New York to Dubai is 13,750, so you can't really cut it much closer than that. One other tip is if you're looking for your own sort of loopholes and opportunities in those distance-based charts, make sure to check out Great Circle Mapper. That's at gcmap.com. Basically, you're just going to drop in the 2 airports, and it's going to tell you exactly how many miles it is between them. So that makes it really easy to figure out how much it should cost for those distance-based charts.
Coming in at number 4 on the list is a 50,000 British Avios round trip direct from Boston to Dublin on Aer Lingus. This is just inside the 3,000 flown miles mark, and so that means that you can book into business class on Aer Lingus and also avoid the fuel surcharges that typically come with British Airways to Europe. We've mentioned this one before, but it's definitely worth mentioning again with what Erik said earlier about the possible speculation foreshadowed with things at Iberia with British Airways Avios.
All right, on to number 5. We've got 30,000 U.S. Airways dividend miles for round trips within South America. The U.S. Airways folks are not really too hot with geography. The phone reps tend to screw this up quite a lot. But one of the most interesting parts of this opportunity is Easter Island, which is part of Chile. American Airlines considers Easter Island to be in the South Pacific over with New Zealand and Australia. And in reality, it actually is quite a bit out there into the Pacific. It's probably just as close to Australia as it is to South America. But Chile owns it, so U.S. Airways has kindly observed that, and they're going to make it possible for you to fly all the way out there for just 30,000 round trip in business class. So for sure, if you're looking at any sort of trip out to Easter Island, start with U.S. Airways dividend miles as your first option for redeeming that flight.
Number 6 on the list is 97,750 Singapore Kris Flyer miles. So that's a round trip between New York and Frankfurt, Germany, or Houston and Moscow. This is an attractive redemption because Singapore happens to have one of the best business class cabins in the world. And also, Singapore not opening up premium cabin space to their partner airlines means that you can typically find flights with availability in business class. And the final perk on this one is if you book online, there's a 15% discount, which will bring down those taxes and fuel surcharges to around $400. So that's really an incredible deal considering what that flight would cost if you paid cash, and how, luxurious and how comfortable your travel will be being on one of those Singapore Airlines business class seats.
Really nice value. I know we've booked a couple of those for customers. Singapore is one of the only airlines that does this. Pretty much all the others charge you extra to book by phone, and Singapore discounts for those that book online. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual price of the ticket in taxes and fees, though, so it's going to be a 15% discount on your miles, but both those trips, I think you were pretty close to right on with the 400. It varies a little bit on the actual cost, but certainly if you can get away with it, try and book those guys online and save 15% of your miles. All right, on to number 7. We've got 125,000 Delta Sky miles. Remember, we've got 2 live offers, actually 3 offers for Amex cards that are giving out 50,000 Sky miles. So you have an opportunity to grab those in one round of applications. This one is for travel between North America and Morocco or Tunisia. This is kind of a cool award. There's a lot of challenge in terms of getting to Africa on award tickets. Africa and Australia are typically the most difficult. If you use those Delta Sky miles, you can either route that on their partner Virgin Atlantic or on Alitalia or an Air France KLM. And all these guys have pretty nice business class products. One thing I would suggest is check out SeatGuru.com and take a look at the plane that's operating your flight. Get a look and see if your looking at a fully flat business class product or an angled flat. It can make kind of a big difference in terms of your comfort. A lot of times it's just a matter of picking the right time of day to depart to get the nicer, newer business class product. So definitely check that out. But if you're trying to get to North Africa, either Morocco or Tunisia, there's not a lot of better redemptions than 125,000 Delta Sky miles.
Nice, man. Speaking of some of those elusive destinations like Africa and Australia, coming in at number 8 is a round trip between North America and Australia for 110,000 U.S. Airways dividend miles. One of the big wins on this redemption is U.S. Airways has pretty generous routing rules, so you can typically route to Australia through Asia and potentially even Europe or the Middle East if you keep the total number of segments down. One thing to keep in mind with this is that might mean you'll have a somewhat interesting or creative routing where it might not be the most direct path, but definitely you can take advantage of routing through Asia and maybe Europe or the Middle East. And a final tip here is with US Airways, if you're on the phone with them and you cannot route through where you want to route through, it's worth just being really polite, hanging up, and trying the next agent, because the US Airways agents are notorious for not being great with geography and giving some additional leeway on where you route through.
Great tip, man. It's always fun. You know, you have one agent that is like, this is absolutely against the rules. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks. And you call them. The next one's like, oh, that sounds like a great trip. I'm happy to book that for you. So definitely follow that tip. It's a really valuable one. You'll be surprised. Okay, moving on to number 9. This is the last one we've got for you guys today. It is 125,000 Alaska miles for Cathay Pacific business class from North America to Africa, India, or the Middle East. Alaska is one of my favorite currencies. They are extremely valuable. Alaska is the only airline I know of that offers a stopover on one-way awards. Now, the 125,000 is round trip, but again, Alaska has some great routing rules, and they're not a member of one of the major 3 alliances. So they've got a really diverse group of partners. Cathay is one of the nicest of those partners, so you should definitely check out this opportunity. South Africa is pretty great destination and still challenging to get to. The other thing about Alaska is that they don't have the requirement of going across the Atlantic. So if you're in New York, it's no big deal. You can route through Europe and get to Africa. But if you're out in San Francisco, that's a lot of extra travel potentially and eliminates your possibility of doing a stopover in Asia. So Alaska will let you make that stopover and go across the Pacific Ocean. So really good to keep in mind if you're looking at a trip to Africa, India, or the Middle East.
Good stuff, man. That's 9 very solid business class redemptions right there for any of you that have miles. So I guess that's it for this week. We went through the 9, and all we've got left is the International Jam of the Week. And for all of you out there, if this is too much organization, too much of a drain on your time, just check out abroaders.com. Give our full-service travel hacking a look. We will get the miles for you and book your flights.
This week's International Jam is an Israeli-born French artist named Tal. The track is Marcher au Soleil. I gotta admit, the music video completely eliminated my problem with not being able to pay attention while learning French. Check it out on the Shownotes page. We will see you next week, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard. Travel safe. Hey Broaders, don't be shy. Hop over to the website and join our email list for exclusive travel hacking content. If you like what we're up to, the best way you can support the show is by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes. Lastly, we would love to hear from you, so send your show feedback to Erik or AJ at abroaders.com. We will see you next week.